I remember watching someone go to like a Yankee game and be like, look at these nachos. They start eating these nachos. And then all of a sudden they have like 1 billion followers. And I'm like, why am I always taking the friggin' hard road? Like, can I just do things for simple? So I started to cook what I would eat at home. And I don't know, it kind of works.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Dan Loves to Chat. My name is Danielgeneen. I am a comedian. I formerly worked in video, making videos about restaurants for eater.com. I was somewhat a documentarian, as it says in my little bio, whatever that means, of restaurants. I've lived in restaurants. I've studied restaurants. I've eaten at all the restaurants in the country making content. And on today's episode, I have one of my favorite people that I've ever made anything about, Ayesha Nurdjaja. So I asked her about the current state of New York dining, her transition from just being a chef to now being in Bobby Flay's Triple Threat, a major Food Network production, and the difficulties that comes with in terms of staying focused in the restaurant. I think if you care about food, if you care about hospitality, if you care about what it means to be a great chef, even with all these other things pulling you away, you will love this episode. And if you care about a funny person who's amazing to talk to, you will love this episode. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy Ayesha Nurdjaja. Why don't you tell me like a little bit about the 2 restaurants you've got right now, and then a little bit about the new TV show.
Sure. So I have Shuka and Shukette. Shuka just turned 8 and Shukette turned 4 in July. They are, I mean, it's so funny when you Google your own restaurants and what it says.
You did that recently?
Yes, because people kept saying that I was a master at Eastern Mediterranean cooking. Yeah. I was like, what the F is Eastern? Can you curse on here?
You can curse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is Eastern Mediterranean cooking, you know?
Hey.
I think that people don't want to talk about Middle Eastern cooking, but anyway, it's Mediterranean, Middle Eastern. It's delicious foods, fun vibes.
Yeah.
Everybody always wants to know, like, what's the difference between the restaurants? I always say they're siblings. Like, they have the same mother, but they have different personalities. They're both running vibe on pretty high. The vibe is pretty high at both.
Right.
Shuka has a full liquor license where Shukette doesn't because we're behind a church.
Yeah.
But I think that when you come to Shukette, you don't even realize that you're like high when you get in there, so you don't even realize that
You're
there's
buzzing.
no liquor.
Yeah. I didn't even know. I should say that, okay, I have this theory about like really successful restaurants in New York, and I know New York better, than anywhere else, so I only really talk about New York with any authority. Not that I should talk about anywhere with any authority, but I think that really successful restaurants, and both of your restaurants do this, they appeal to the smart, pretentious people, and also the most basic of influencers and like dummies that are just there with their giant cameras out and don't actually eat anything. So I do think that both of your restaurants occupy that space of having the double edge of intrigue.
As much as you sometimes I just want to crush social media because I'm just tired of it. And I'm also tired that...
What do you mean crush it?
Like
turn it off.
Yeah, turn it off. Because I feel like for so long, like I never had Facebook, and I did it on purpose because I know that I'm a rabbit hole kind of person. Like I'd be looking for like a lost person that I met in like 1992 on the bus ride from high school, and then I would just never get off of it. So I was like, listen, I talk to everybody I need to talk to, but like obviously for work purposes you have to have it, and I find like the doom scrolling insane. But what I wanted to say about the restaurant part is it just creates a buzz.
Socials.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, and like.
Other people, not you.
No, but we were talking about like the influencer part of it. Like I think for a long while it was about like promoting these businesses and not just like doing it pay for play. But now I feel like they're turning into like food critics, and it's like like before the pandemic you had no job, and now all of a sudden like
now you're Pete Wells.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, they always say this that my friends and I always talk about how like. One of the things that the old heads hate about social media is like they'll always say that they have no taste or they don't have the research to get this right. The problem is the thing that people really won't admit is that in general the hordes are correct. Right? Like, and there's a lot of people on TikTok who have actually like some good opinions and who know what they're talking. And at the end of the day also they know what they like and what they don't like. And so unfortunately they do actually steer in aggregate, they steer people towards restaurants that are actually good. There's obviously, I think we're past the era of like the of the gimmick food blowing up on social media.
I'd agree.
Like, luckily now, I think what changed is the more vloggy style social media. Before, it was like, look at this dumb thing that's super eye catchy. I always remember the cheese scrape, right? Sorry, it was just
the raclette?
The hoard, the biggest clump of hair I've ever had in my hand. I pulled out from that couch.
It was like platinum or white.
It was platinum or white.
I don't know what granny that you're banging on that couch.
It's an OnlyFans studio as well. Yeah, the raclette, where they would bring out that raclette. Some guy who was probably from El Salvador, dressed like a Dutchman, would come out and scrape the raclette
right over boiled potatoes.
But that was such a good hook.
Yeah.
But now what's changed is, I will say I feel like you grimaced a little bit when I said the hordes are correct. But now I feel like what's changed is when you say, like, I just went to the greatest restaurant. It's on 9th Street. It's called Shuka. Like, that's the hook. So that allows the person, I made her sound like an idiot, but that allows her to actually explain the restaurant. The thing is about a restaurant like Shuka and Shukette is you don't really have any like ultra flagship visually explosive hook dishes, right? There's no thing that you cut open and it spills out of the middle.
Right.
It's like good rip and dip, as you call it, food. So I think what has changed in the social media landscape is now people can vlog and they'll say like, and you trust someone's opinion and they can say like, these dips are really good. I mean, when I worked for Eater for a million years, like if you told me I have a restaurant that does the best dips in the world, I'd be like, oh, I want to eat there. There's no video I can make about dips because dips aren't visually exciting. There's no like action moment. There's like you and a blender and then a pita, right?
Right.
There's
The cooking end of it, I could see what you're saying.
No, yeah. They said when I first started at Eater making videos, they said no soups, stews, or sauces. And that was their thing because, like, it didn't, they wanted dry aged meat where you could watch the giant reveal of the slice in the middle and see what the dry aging had done to the meat. So I do think in that way, social media has developed more integrity. But you don't like it? You still hate it?
No. I'm into it.
I hate it.
Right.
But I do feel like it steers people in a better direction than it used to.
I would agree with you with that. I'm just saying, like, I grimaced when saying, like, I hate the amount of hours that I spend on it and hate to admit how many it is. Like every week when it's like shows my phone's like you spent 8 more hours, whatever. I'm like, you know how many things I could have been doing on it? So like I'm like a child now and I have to say like, this is my Instagram time and I have to put it away. I also think at some point, there was an intrigue of interest, right? Like you were seeing something that you never saw before. Now I feel like I don't even know what I'm watching, but I'm still watching it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as far as the restaurants are concerned, like it's...
Oh, I don't mean you using it, by the way. No, I just mean that the dummies who are all putting out their vlogs, they are more correct now and the content is better than it used to. That doesn't mean that we should spend 1 second on there.
Right. No, but I do agree with you. That it has a positive light on the restaurants. The issue that I have sometimes is just the critiquing of it because I think food is so subjective, right? Like I'm on food shows and I judge and I feel like when you're judging food and it's out of like complete personal taste, sometimes that's not right.
Right.
Right?
No.
Because you might like spicy and I might not. So like if something was spicy, you don't like it. But I do think that people are also getting a better sense, like you said, like this vlog style where it's like in the day of, they're walking in the restaurant, they're like showing the bathroom, they're like washing their hands, and then they're, ordering and eating and giving the vibe of the place.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me started on how much I hate that because I think what the problem is, the real problem, the thing I hate the most about it is that people who make things about a thing start to believe that they are making things themselves, and you're not. You're making a thing about a thing. Like, I'm very aware that if I go into your restaurant and I make a vlog about your restaurant, and I've done those, right? I'm still vlogging about a thing that you've created, right? Like I'm making content on content,
right.
But the original content is still the hard thing to do. It's still the impressive thing to do. Like all those Apple vloggers and stuff back in the day who would like immediately criticize the fuck out of the new iPhone.
Right.
It's like, go make a fucking iPhone. You know what I mean? Like stop vlogging about iPhones. Go make a phone.
Right.
You couldn't make a phone to save your life. You couldn't even make, a charge cable. But anyway.
That's all too technical for me.
It's all too, right.
Yeah.
But anyway.
My currency is rip and dips. That's where I go.
What do you think about New York? It's in post-COVID. Like, how do you feel like New York dining scene has changed? Is it driving you nuts?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I think New York is back on its feet. I think, what annoys me the most is like the restaurants get always like the side end of the stick. You know, nobody gives a shit about like when the airlines are treating people badly. You know,
Yeah.
when they go down, every bank shows up and they just start doling them out money. But if you think about it, tickets are more expensive. There's a 50% chance that you're not going to get your luggage. Right?
Yeah.
Service on it's not that great. They're not even like planes aren't as clean as they used to be. But yet people still fly, don't complain. They're only worried about their points and they show that they have platinum status. But with the restaurant business, like you're only as good as your last dish, right? And people love to come into the restaurant loaded before they even sit down and eating. Like, why don't you just relax?
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of eating out is a special thing. I don't know. That's how I treat it anyway. And I've always treated it that way. It's kind of like, it's not that it's a luxury, but it's like breaking bread with somebody that you know.
Yeah.
Getting to spend time with people. Put your phone away. Have a drink. Even the people that are coming there to work, like they want to give you hospitality and they want to make sure that you're having a fun and magical evening. So sometimes you just have to be like a little bit submissive, not all the way, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And stop like coming in saying, well, this restaurant got a blank on this review and I want to see if it's worth it. Or let me put my 2 cents in. Like, how fun is that?
It's horrible. And it's your overratedness or underratedness or whatever is built into, like, they associate that with you instead of associating that with social media.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's social media that's saying you're amazing. You're not out there being like, I have the best fucking restaurant in the world.
On the sandwich board.
You're just like, I want to give people
Soho.
a nice time.
That's it.
Yeah. And they're coming in being like, it's not as good as it was supposed to be. And it's like, based on fucking what? Based on, you know?
And like, I want everybody to have a good time. Like what you were saying before, like the restaurant doesn't cater specifically to like people that don't know food and people that do. But I think like the menus are diverse enough that if you never wanted to eat anything with any type of Middle Eastern influence or spices, you can have something at the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun. Like I'm not trying to educate you. I'm trying to nourish you.
Yeah. Do you think that you, like, compared to your friends who are also have restaurants that are busy, let's say, do you think that there's something you do that makes you more sort of less susceptible to the online swings one way or another?
That's a great question. I think sometimes it's a little bit of luck of the draw. The other thing that I think that always works is if like you're really true to what you say you are.
Yeah.
You know, like some people say that they're like, I don't know, but like farm to table, and that yet they're using like Cisco products that aren't. Or some people are saying like, this is like you can come here every day, you know, whether breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but that you're charging like $90 for half a chicken. It's like you have to have a vision. You have to really believe in that, and it has that cohesive brand has to go across the board. And I think like when it's so strong, and all of those things are in line, the music, the decor, the type of service, you know, the way you're greeted at the front door, like people start buying in from the minute that they walk through the door. And I think if you have if there's consistency in all of that, obviously plus the food and the quality, I think that you'll do okay. But being genuine, I mean, I think that like that's why when we talk about social media, like when I don't know, like again, I'm using the word successful, but like why people follow me, I think people just think I'm genuine. The same thing on the show. They're like, she's just not like a chef. Like she's a person that's actually doing this. And sometimes you have to remind yourself to like just be you.
But you are genuine.
Yes.
You're not faking. You can't fake being genuine.
You
I've
can't.
seen people
Well,
try
you can.
to do it.
You could try.
You can try
but
to
it's
fake.
terrible. And that's what I mean about those restaurants, what you're saying. I'm not that I'm saying that my friends do that, but I've definitely been in restaurants where you're like, what's the hype here? Like, why am I buying into this? Mm-hmm. And then you're at other places where you're like mesmerized, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to be here every single night.
Yeah. I think there's something about the simplicity, though. Like, I think that you say that you want to cook the food that you want to eat every night. There's certain kinds of food that, like, are very interesting, and I'm glad they exist, but it's just not what I would want to eat every night. And I think maybe they attempt to be in a different category of level of artistry or of not artistry, but like pushing the envelope.
Right.
And that's not the envelope exactly that you want to push,
No,
I don't think.
Not me.
Yeah.
And I think that I've come from those restaurants, and I think that's part of your journey as a chef, right? Is like to learn and gravitate towards people that are great, so that you can learn their magic. But at the end of the day, like when it's your time to make a name for yourself, you have to figure out what your special sauce is. Like people say to me all the time, like we talk about the landscape of restaurant business and like competition, if you will. And I'm like, the more the merrier. Like when I started at Shuka, there were 2 restaurants on that block. There's 5 restaurants on that small block between McDougal and Princeton Houston. And they're like, well, you know, aren't one of the restaurants on the block does similar food than you do? And I'm like, cool, but they'll never do the same thing. And I'm happy for them. Actually, they have great hummus too. Like it's not a thing. There's enough room for everyone.
Yeah.
So I always feel like the more traffic that new restaurants bring to the block, the more energy it is, the better it is. I'm not trying to being in competition with myself is more than enough for me. I don't really need to be competing with other people. And that's not a pompous thing. It's just saying, like, every day that I go to work, I try to make new things, but I also try to not perfect, because that's another word that goes in that category, but make things better. Like, how do I make this better? Not only for the customer, but also for my cooks.
Yeah.
I can come up with a complicated dish in a minute, but how do I reproduce that dish to be delicious 300 times a night?
And when you're not cooking it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's, I think, something that I'm learning more and more. Like, you think about the restaurants that have really lasted forever in New York, the ones that are like where you feel good being there, even if you're not always like, this food's mind-blowing.
Right.
Balthazar's and stuff, you're like, I could learn to make this dish in a day, and it's not about it being overly complicated. It's just about it being good and me enjoying being here.
Right.
Are there some tweaks that you've made recently that like are simple things that
Yeah, sure. I mean, the shawarma at Shuka is like always on my radar. Like, whenever I come in, it's almost like before they say hello to me, they put a small little bowl in front of me and I eat it on its own before I eat it with everything else.
Yeah.
And it's just like high on my radar. It's like one of the top selling dishes there. And that's the kind of thing that like people get hooked to. I love to change things on the menu. If it was up to me, I would never have those dishes that I like things that change. But I understand that you have to have some of those staples because those are the things that make people come back, you know? And like, I'm very hypersensitive, more so to those dishes than I am on the ones that frequently change, because you just want to make sure that like it only takes that one. Like, you have a bad day at work, right? Yep. And you're like, you know what's going to cheer me up? That shawarma.
Yeah.
And then you go to Shuka and that shawarma sucks. And then you're like, my day is even suckier. Like, that's hurtful to me, and I don't want to do that. I want to be the one to be like, this shawarma saved my day.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, altruistic to say, but I know that you know where I'm coming from with that. Like, there is
for
some
sure, but
joy.
you're banking on that
Yeah.
shawarma.
You're banking on it.
And there's a thing, and I think that this happens with jokes too, where because you cook that every day, the level to which you think it's now overplayed is so much different than a diner who even comes in once a week or even every 3 days.
Yep. That's
you're making it 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
They're getting it every 3 days. So you're like, oh, this dish is so done. Like, this joke is so not funny anymore. But and often they've never even heard it. It's new people.
I know, it's true.
And their friends are like, I'm going to get something different, but you got to get the shawarma. Yeah.
It's like the two people on your shoulder, right? The one person that tells you and the other person. As long as you know both of them and what they're going to say, you have to listen to each side. And I think like it's a great thing to have items that are on the menu for a long time, but it's really important that those are the ones that you have your eye on and not always the new flashy.
Okay. You have, so at one point you have 2 extremely successful restaurants. And then you were like, I still need to be aware of social media. I still should entertain this idea of being on TV. I still need to do more. Like, what is it like to have 2 successful restaurants and be like, oh, damn it, I get it?
I think the word successful is like a little painful for me because I don't know what that really means.
Right.
But I understand where you're coming from, so I just want to put that out there.
Why don't we dig into that?
Because I just think, like, what is success, right? Because I think there's always, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs or people that are ambitious always have this, like, relentless pursuit of success, like whatever that looks like. And I feel like in a lot of ways, we don't recognize that we've had so many successes in our life, right? To be able to say that I have 2 restaurants or 1 restaurant in New York City is a success on its own.
Sure.
Right? But no one has, I shouldn't say no one. People acknowledge that, but sometimes I don't acknowledge that. And I think like it's a matter of balancing like living in the moment and also thinking about what tomorrow brings. I think the difference between me, what I recognize in myself, I should say, is that I had personality and I wasn't somebody that wanted to be behind the scenes. And that was really the reason why it wasn't so much that I wanted a second restaurant. It was like I didn't want a restaurant to cook in the basement. At Shuka, I was in the basement.
The first restaurant.
And the first restaurant. And any time someone would go to the bathroom, they would either like peek in to see and they would be like, oh, can you let the chef know that his food is amazing? And I'd be like, Meanwhile, I'd be in full regalia with a different apron, but no one would recognize that. The male-female thing doesn't really get on my nerves so much. Then I was like, I wanted to see what was going on in the dining room. Like, I was putting out 200-300 meals a day, and I was like, are these people liking it? Like, I didn't want to wait until the Resi review came in the next day. So I'd go upstairs, but I couldn't go upstairs and leave the line. So it was just, like, logistically a nightmare. And the second restaurant, I said, I don't care what the concept is. It could have been, I don't know, Bengali food. Exactly.
Yeah.
I needed it to be, like, in the dining room, and I didn't want it to be like I didn't know that Shukette was really the vision of it because there is no privacy whatsoever when you're up there. But I get to see it all.
And then at what point, even once Shukette?
I think in this day and age, because of just the way that restaurants are, it's not enough to have restaurants.
Yeah,
it's just not. There's too many hands, too many hands in the pie. There's not enough percentage to go around for anything. Prices are going up. And the restaurants, years ago could become your identity. I mean, even if you talk about the great ones, and I know that you've interviewed like Eric Ripert and them, like even though like he's like has his one restaurant, but he does all these other things too, because it's like, I guess you try to fulfill
it's a privilege now for him to do the one restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And I'm not saying that I don't want to open up other restaurants, but I'm not sure if that's like the fire inside of me so much as the other things.
Well, I mean, it's almost like a crass question, but like, I think what people don't, food is one of these things where they see you on things and they're like, oh, she must be a billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I think, or like even having 2 restaurants, they're like, she must be a billionaire. I think people don't realize that. I mean, I bet you're conscious of like, at some point you want to retire and you're like seeing the money that's coming in and you're like, oh, that's not like,
There's no way. That's what you say.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is that when you start out, like when I started out, I was making $6 an hour on the books.
Right.
So I'm so behind the curve. I'm doing it a little over 20 years, but I'm so behind the curve financially because by the time you make a little bit money, you're so far in debt that you don't even know how to get yourself out of it. So like where someone like my brother who works for the MTA can retire at 55, like that's not even on the planet for me.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, I think about that all the time because I think about it in comedy. Like I have a lot of friends who are bankers, and the least successful banker that I've ever met in my life is twice as successful as the most successful comic. You know what I mean?
So funny.
And so your brother, who's like people would think of as like, he's down
regular
in the tunnels,
exactly.
whatever, but he's making way more money than you as a person that is known.
Yes.
And it's wild.
And he's set up for retirement. He's got great medical benefits.
Yeah.
And at 55, like you could have a rebirth and have an entirely new career, right? That you really want to do and still have a full paycheck coming in from your pension.
I know. A lot of people fetishize too. Like I always think like, because I fall for this too. When a chef has a one restaurant and it's amazing, and then they launch like a sauce line, and then they're trying all these different avenues to make money, and it's easy to roll your eyes when you say like, oh, the restaurant's gone downhill a tiny bit. How could they spread themselves like so thinner like that? So much, or like how could they add more to their plate? And then you find out like that chef who was famous in a good restaurant was making like $60,000 a year.
Tops.
Take
home. For real.
Yeah.
No joke. Sharing a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 people.
Yeah.
Like
with 200,000 Instagram followers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a hard business, and I think this day and age, like you just can't. And some people can, but you can't. It's really difficult to sustain, especially if you want to retire and have like a decent life.
Yeah.
With just one, and sometimes not even with 2.
I feel like when I met you, you didn't even think about social media at all. And then you were just like, I'm going to do this. And then you fucking did it. Like you actually figured out, it's like cooking, right? Like you figure out how to get.
I actually love it, to be honest with you. Like it's the fun, like one day a month I film for like 15 hours. And it's a long day because we do all the content for the entire month.
Yeah.
But it's so fun because I feel like I'm free.
What was the process of getting good at it?
I think it was a trial and error.
Yeah.
I think the first few months were very hard. Like I was very excited to do it because I think we were seeing reactions of people online. But the days were so long, and we were only creating not enough content for a month because I was making like restaurant dishes. And then every once in a while you're like, why? You start watching other people. And I remember watching someone go to like a Yankee game and be like, look at these nachos. They start eating these nachos. And then all of a sudden they have like 1 billion followers.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why am I always taking the friggin' hard road?
Yeah.
Like, can I just do things for simple? So I started to cook what I would eat at home. And I don't know, it kind of works.
Yeah.
And people love it. Listen, people are dialed into Italian-American culture like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So when they hear like Francese or Parmesan or anything like that, they're in for it. Even if they're never going to make it. And I think that's just like something about being able to do that in my house where I'm like in control of things, but there's not a pressure to it. It just makes it like fun, lighthearted, a little bit educational for sure, but it's entertainment at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I think like when you're looking at these shows, even like when I used to watch TV shows, like I watched Lydia Bastianich. Like it was very educational, but there was something in her own way of entertaining.
Of course.
I've watched a million shows and said I'm going to make A, B, C, and D. I've probably never made one of those dishes. But there's something entertaining about it. And I think in this day and age, when you're watching the Food Network, everyone's really into these competition shows, and there's not that private time where you're like watching someone cook and fantasizing, putting yourself in their shoes and saying, this is going to taste great when I make it, and never do.
Well, there's a bazillion people who make like hyper optimized recipe videos where it's super top down. You don't even really see their face. They're not shooting the shit. And I feel like you do ones that are actually like if you were to tell me that you were making recipe videos on social media, you're making exactly what I would assume you're making, which is like a wide shot of you being like, "What's up, everybody? We're gonna do this."
Yeah.
But have you tinkered with it at all to make them to think about them doing better, or do you just do exactly the thing you would want to watch?
No, I think it's always a matter of tinkering. Like, you have to know your audience, and you have to see, like, it's just so funny. Like, I stopped looking at how many followers I had because I was just like, did I get more? Did I get more? And you can't get. I mean, it's very easily to get caught up in that.
Of course.
I think the tinkering, it just ends up. I have to tinker it to the point that you're enjoying it, but so am I. I think that's like the fine line for me. Yeah. It's like how long the content is, how long these recipes are. I'm also like working in my house where I'm cleaning up after myself. So if I'm trying to do a dish that takes 16 pots, that's not going to make me happy. And then I'm miserable, and then we got to keep filming. And you can see, like, on some of the videos, I can see when my energy started to get low. So I just have to be really self-conscious of, like, how much energy I'm expending in these videos, and to make sure they're short and sweet enough that people are also, like, feeling fulfilled.
Who do you do them with?
Alexa Bennett is her name.
And are you friends with her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. It's very much like we discussed, obviously, what we're going to do, but there's also in the middle of the day, sometimes I'm like, I have this recipe. I'll give you an instance. We were doing, my mother comes on, everybody, like...
Yeah, freaks out.
Yeah. So... she made this appetizer, which was fried artichokes, and I never saw her make it before. I was like, where did you get this? And she's like, oh, I saw this on, she watches like PBS. And I was like, okay. So I was like, when you come on, show it to me. And she took canned artichoke hearts, which is like so not her, because she's like nose to tail kind of cook. And they were in a little bit of a brine. She like put them in a paper towel, and then she starts dipping them in flour and egg and then frying them. So I was like, this is like franchise. And she was like, oh, I didn't think of that. So I was like, yo, somebody run out and get me a bunch of chicken cutlets. And when my mother was done with her video, I was like, let's make chicken franchise. And it was the video that took me from, like, I don't know, 50,000 followers to 100,000 followers.
The chicken franchise.
Right, which is so wild because it wasn't on the docket. We weren't going to do it, but something about what my mother was doing, I was like, the lemon, the wine, everything is here, so let's rock it.
And then in terms of getting picked up by Food Network stuff, I'm sure you'd been in talks with them forever for various different projects, right? Did they notice that you were starting to pop off on social? Is that why you think that they finally...
No, to be honest with you, I think I just had a very unique situation with this because I think Bobby Flay like sought me out for his own show.
Right.
I had like judged on Beat Bobby Flay like a dozen times, and this was like a different scenario, and he came to me directly. So I really like have one of those unicorn stories. I can't tell you that I was pitching them shows, and then all of a sudden I ended up on the network.
Right.
Because that's not how it happened. But the network thing has been really wild since the show has been on, because I've had like the billboard in Times Square, the billboard in front of my restaurant, in front of the Warner Brothers building, and it's just like it's just, I don't know, like, in a lot of ways people think like it happened overnight, and like a lot of what you're saying, it's like it was a slow ass burn for a very, very long time. But it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like when I first met you, I was just like, I can't believe, and I've said this to you before, but I was like, I can't believe that you weren't scooped up from the second you were a line cook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See, I wish you were the guy.
No, but do you? But I guess you probably do.
I don't know. I think I also believe in like process, you know? One of my friends told me a long time ago, like, rejection is protection. And kind of when you think about like who you were like 10 years ago, like, you know, I don't know what it is, what's the time, but we evolve as people. I don't know if you ever change, but you definitely evolve. Like, I'm not the chef I was 10 years ago for sure. And I don't know that I feel like I have an arsenal of life experience in my pocket, whether it's culinary or life experience, to aid in what I'm doing today, you know? But yes, do I wish that I was like in my 30s and doing this? For sure. Now I'm just tired and old.
And how do you, I'm sure this is the most obvious question, but how do you balance it? Like, I always think that it's so hard. I always think that it must be so hard to like really go in and check on the restaurants when you're fucking wiped.
Yeah. I have to say, like, balance is it's another funny word. Like, we put success and balance all in the same category with resilience. Balance is tough. I think that I have to like kind of have short-term and long-term goals. So if my short-term goal, can't speak today, sorry. My short-term goal is to like run a service at Shukette, then I just make sure that I give that my 100 for the moments that I'm there. You know, I've been very lucky to have people that work with me for a long time. So I think the restaurants, the people that I have working with me are just like, they speak Ayesha. So that's the great thing about it. And they're so dialed in and believe in the concepts and like share in the vision. But I think what makes me feel balanced is if I can get my list of like today done and add a few things to it, that makes me feel good.
Yeah. Are there other things on social media right now that drive you really crazy?
The people that are throwing food like in bowls.
Yeah.
Like the throwing of food. Like I don't get where that's funny. Like I get the ASMR. Is that what I say?
Yeah.
Like that's cool. Not the whispering.
Yeah.
But like the cutting, but the throwing, like you're talking about the people that don't show their faces.
Yeah.
You know, they're like throwing chicken breast and they're throwing mayonnaise and then I'm like, what are we doing here?
Right, when it's the top down and it's like whoosh,
what is that? I don't know. The throwing of the food is like that. It doesn't make me want to eat it. It's not appetizing. I find it disrespectful.
Yeah.
Cut the shit.
Yeah. The one that drives me nuts right now is I find it really annoying when people refer to restaurants as hidden gems.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because I just think it's insulting. Like,
I agree.
I think, like, what are you really saying about... I was trying to say this on stage, but I was like, what are you really saying about a restaurant when you call it a hidden gem? You're saying the neighborhood sucks.
It's like a butterface. That's exactly what a hidden gem means.
It's exactly what it is. It's a butterface.
Yeah.
But it's like, how is that nice? Like, what do you like when you go into the restaurant and you're like, I'm so excited. I've heard about you guys are a really famous hidden gem, and the guy's serving you like momos or whatever, and he's like, what does that mean? And she's like, well, I felt unsafe coming here.
Oh my God.
You know?
Yeah.
I can't believe that's become like such a staple in talking about restaurants. I get the adventurousness, right? Like, I will say that it shines light on a good thing, which is that people want to leave. People are willing to leave their comfort zone. But, you know, a lot of women, I say, like, I mean, this is just maybe my own silly brain thinking, but like, I've talked to a lot of friends. I'm like, what do you like to do on dates and whatever? I'm like, they're like, I like to go find a hidden gem. And I always think it's like, well, you just because you want some guy to take you there because you're worried about getting beaten up or something.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes what drives me nuts is the people scoring, like this is an 8 out of 10. Like, what the fuck is your 8 and what's your 10?
Yeah.
Or when people start throwing out, like, I love this dish, it had great acidity.
Yep.
You're going to go home and sit in your little hovel and, like, delete your, edit your little video down. Like, stick to what you know. Just tell people it was delicious.
Yeah.
What about the regular terms? Yummy. I'm cool with that. Like, whatever your satisfying terms are that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Stop with the critiques.
Yeah.
You're not a professional.
You're right.
I have to even listen to myself when I say it.
You're right. I think about it both ways, too, because, like, when they say nothing about a place, it drives me nuts. When they're like, this dish was beyond or whatever. But then the second they're like, the cumin was beyond, I'm like, you don't fucking know what you're talking about. So it drives me nuts both when it's overly simplistic. What are some things you notice about going to restaurants where you walk in and you're like, I really appreciate how that was done?
I think it's a lot in the details and the hospitality.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, am very into, like, the greeting at the front door. Years ago, when I worked at a Voce, I, like, saved up enough scuttles to go to Maria for dinner. Mm-hmm. And I was, like, a sous chef then, and I remember walking through the door, and they said, Ayesha, we were anticipating your arrival. It was a little grand, but it kind of stuck with me and said, like, they knew that I was there, and I appreciated that.
Yep.
And, like, when I go to another restaurant and I see that there's, like, a lot of details to it, like, I really, like, those are the things that I notice.
Yeah. And and how do you, like, are you always, is it hard not to walk into your own restaurants and want to change a million things every time you walk in just because you see them all the time?
It is, but I also have learned that, like just the way that, like you said, like when I see my dishes all the time, like it's not that bad. You have to realize that, like, 90% of people that come into my restaurants are happy. Mm-hmm. They really are. So you have to, like, kind of dial into that and say, like, yes, you would tweak everything. But I also saw the other day, like, there were people waiting outside and the hostess was like, I'm sorry, it's going to be like 5 more minutes. Can we offer you a drink?
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I said,
it's just being
thank
genuine.
you. Yes.
It's just being genuine.
And I said, thank you so much, because that's what I want to see. Like, it's never about, we give free stuff out all the time. It's not about the free stuff. It's about the thought process of why we're giving it to you.
There's this restaurant that opened around the Comedy Cellar, and it's like a very sort of fine touch new French restaurant.
Okay.
And it's so overdone. I get, like, it's nice, it's French, whatever. It's very French. And I wanted to see their dining room upstairs because, like, the whole thing was kind of like they'd spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
And I ate at the bar, and I'm like, hey, can I go check out the dining room upstairs? And they were like, no. And I was like, what? Why? And they're like, we don't allow anyone up there during service.
Was it like a private party?
No. because I thought maybe they thought I was a vagrant who just came in off the street. And I was like,
you were going to set up shot?
Well, I was like, I actually was just sitting I didn't say this. Yeah. I was like, I actually just ate dinner at the bar. What I wanted to say was, oh, I just spent $95 on a plate of snails and some bread. Any chance I could go see the fucking upstairs of your restaurant?
They would have said yes.
You know, I never get tough.
You got to use your good instincts. You have it.
But they were like, oh, yeah, we know. We saw you eating at the bar. I was like, well, I didn't want me upstairs. I think that they were trying to make it like a Zen, of very classic French. And it was not even a tasting menu. These fucks. Anyway, whatever. That really bothered me. Okay. Just a quick thing on the open kitchen. Are you more, now that you've worked in an open kitchen, closed kitchen, are you more likely to eat at an open kitchen restaurant?
I don't know that I think about it.
Okay.
I kind of like the entertainment factor of it, but I don't know that I like, if someone said to me like I want to eat here or there, would I say to them, does it have an open kitchen or not?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that luckily one of my great powers in life is I don't think about cleanliness at all.
Okay.
But when I cooked in a restaurant, oh man, very closed kitchen.
Yes.
It was, I was nasty. I mean, I wasn't nasty, but like
I know what you're saying.
You choose, like you have to want to wash your hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one's like, hey, you're plating those beets over and over again with your hands. Like you should wash your hands.
No, I'm like a psychopath.
Yeah.
So I don't have. That's why like the open kitchen didn't bother me. Like they sweep them up every 5 minutes. It's on a timer. Cleanliness is like key. I couldn't work even when I was a cook. Like I wasn't. I mean, in the beginning I was a mess because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But then you work around other people and you're like, their aprons are white, and I looked like I just came back from a fish concert.
yeah. Do you go to fish concerts?
No, I don't even know where I came up that road. I think I was thinking of Tie Dye and Grateful Dead, so that's why I don't try to use.
I guess the last thing. So, what do you think about like in terms of this? I know you hate the word balance.
Hold on, but I do want to say,
please,
I'm not cool with eating in dirty places.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I haven't, but I don't like, if I don't see it, like I don't really know about it. But if I see it, it's kind of like gross to me.
Yeah, of course. But you don't really know ever.
Well, sometimes there's signs.
I think you can tell in terms of over time, you can tell in the quality of the food.
Really?
Because I think that the people who are putting out good food are passionate about that. They're not going to let cooks work there that are not.
That's a good point. I never equated quality to cleanliness. I just think like restaurants, you have to be clean.
When I was in culinary school, after my final exam, the chef goes to me, your food tastes good, but you're fucking disgusting.
You were like, thank you.
Well, that was my only skill. Yeah. My only skill. I'm a great taster. I'm a great taster and balancer, but my cleanliness is weak.
Yeah, it's hard though.
It's hard. In terms of the future of like building restaurants and social media and TV and stuff, like how do you tell, or like how are you approaching telling next generations, like talented people, how they should be focusing their time and like when you get people who come in and they're like, I want to be like you, I want to be on TV.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't fucking have any idea what I want.
How long it took. I love that you did that voice.
I wasn't even I was just,
I know, but I'm just saying, I just loved it because I could do it right back.
Yeah.
I think that everybody needs to work in a restaurant. I don't really care if you want to be like working for like fancy food magazines or like, have your own social media thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's really imperative that you work in the restaurant and that you learn the basics. Culinary school is cool, but it doesn't really teach you all of those like real life scenarios when you're in the kitchen. So I'm like a big proponent of people working in restaurants, but I think you have to pick the right place. And you also like should not only pick a place based on its reputation, but how you have to have some connection to it. You have to like the food. Like, you could like me, that's fine, cool. But you have to be, like, in love with the food because that's what's most important on the everyday. So I always tell people to try to find places, that they can do that. But it's a long process. For anybody that you see that's, like, really out there and it's really famous, like, they've been doing it for a really long time. People are just seeing, like, with social media, a lot of this stuff is overnight for sure for them. But in the food world, I don't know. I'm a chef at heart, and I'm, like, old school when it comes to those things. But I do think that, like, social media in today's landscape really gives these people like overnight success.
Yeah.
Whether they know how to cook or not, they'll have 1 million followers and people are just watching them throw chicken and pork, whapping it in like teriyaki sauce and then being like, ta-da, and people love it.
There is a level of fairness though, because when you don't know who the person is and they're just really good at throwing the meat in the bowl, there's not much they can do from there, right? Like the second they bring themselves in as a character, people are like, hey, get the fuck out of here. You're the guy who throws the chicken in the bowl and makes the nice noises.
Right.
Nobody cares about like how you.
I can understand that.
You know, like you built food first and then character, and that I feel like that. I mean, that's the only way you can do it where it actually lasts.
But I also think like the whole thing with today's people's attention span being 15 seconds, like that's ridiculous. Honestly, I mean, stop.
Yeah.
No class that you go to school for, regardless of where you're going to be, is 15 minutes.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're done.
Right.
We're cooked. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
So the doomsday part of the convo.
Of course. Do you think restaurants can help push back against the detriments or the downsides of social media in a sense?
I don't know. I think like it's so funny because restaurants are just businesses, right? But there's so much more than that. I mean, they're the fabric of the community and everything. But people always expect restaurants to be like the people, like to teach people, to train people, to like be part of like change and stuff like that. But no one's ever helping them to do so. So I don't know. That's a big question to ask. I think.
I just mean even sitting there without your phone for an hour.
Yeah,
and just
but that's what. I think that restaurants play such an important part in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think like. Someone once said to me that the restaurant business is going to be like the movies. Like it'll be like deceased soon. Like nobody goes to the movies, right? You spend $25, you sit popcorn on your couch.
Yeah.
It's a different experience.
Yeah.
Like I love eating out.
Who is this idiot?
I know, right?
I
know. I can't drop their name.
Yeah, but it's incorrect because the thing is that you can have this. Well, sure, you're saying you can have popcorn. It's a different experience going to the movies, and I agree with you. But you'll never have a restaurant experience in your house because you would have someone who would have to build a restaurant in your house. They'd have other people. They'd have to have a full kitchen. They would have to have, and it would have to not be your home. That's the whole fucking point of it.
Right.
You can basically get the movie experience in your home. You know, it's still not going out and doing a thing, but the product is the same. You can't eat the food in your home.
But no, restaurants are a special place, and I love 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I started, if you said to me, Ayesha, in 30 years from now, you're going to own restaurants that are neighborhood restaurants, I would probably want to poke your eyes out. To me, like that's the most it's almost the most important restaurant to have.
Yeah.
You know? Like I love that people can come multiple times a week. I love that people sit at the bar by themselves at Shuka or Shukette and they have a full-blown meal. I love also that people are coming there before they're going to another restaurant just to have a drink. Like I love when they're coming, like I said, had a terrible day at work and just want that bite of shawarma to put a smile on their face. And, you know, no pandemic, but like there was such outpour of love when we started opening. And I had felt like diners reset themselves at that point because they were just happy to be out. So they were like nicer and more open to the experience.
And now they're back to being bitches.
No, but really, honestly, I'm not just saying this because people are going to listen, but I've been very fortunate. Like, we deal with some tough people every now and then, but for the most part, I don't really have experience with, like, people that are, like, outwardly rude or acting like clowns. And I'm happy about that because I would react to that not positively. Okay,
so last thing. In your efforts, now that you're doing a bazillion things, what do you do to slow down? Like, are you meditating?
I'm trying a lot of different things, to be honest with you. What I'm trying to do is like live a little bit of a healthier lifestyle, and which is very painful. So I see a trainer 3 times a week, and I'm trying never to change my dates and times to see him because that's like it's more of a therapy session, I think, than it is actually working. I mean, there is a working out component to it, but I think I just realized like being in the hospitality business, you're always giving to others, and then you're the first one to let yourself down. And I'm trying to not do that. And I'm trying to put myself as a priority and making time for myself and realizing, like last night I had an event and on my way back from the event, I saw that the line was like buckling. And I was like, it's going to take nothing for me to jump on in 10 minutes. And then in my mind, I was like, but that 10 minutes is going to turn into 2 hours. And I was like, you know what? I was there for an hour. They felt good. I felt good. And I went home. So it was fine. But I think it's just, balancing. And also, I need tools. So I'm asking a lot of people the same question, like, what do they do? Because I'm open to suggestions. I mean, meditating, I think, is really hard for me. I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to say be quiet and still. But I think it would be beneficial. But I also think, like, you have to find what works for you. And I don't know that I have the answers to your question directly.
Yeah. But you're open. You're now like...
Well, what do you do? Because you're talking, you're on stage all the time. Like, you're juggling your life, too.
But this is my greatest problem, is that I do things well, but I show up a minute late to everything. I never, like, my greatest joys. Okay. Yeah. So for instance, this podcast today, right? Like, my greatest joy in life would have been if I got everything done that I needed to get done in the morning, and then I could have sat at a coffee shop I wanted to fucking go to.
Okay.
Before here for an hour and look over the notes and look over like maybe what I wanted to talk about, and then like maybe get a little something else, a piece of work done. And instead I like keep pushing to get everything done. So I ended up only with 20 minutes. I went to some bozo coffee shop in a fucking hotel that was a stupid touristy dumb idiot thing.
Right.
And I wanted to go to Maman, which, you know, and have my nice matcha.
Sophisticated.
Yeah. And breathe. And I think that when I'm in a good place and I'm able to take in things and enjoy them, it's when I'm able to get to Maman at 12 and be like, I have an hour, I'm going to get thing, and make that real on the calendar.
Right.
For me, it's just putting things on and sticking to them. So that trainer thing is great.
Yeah.
But it's like not scampering to get there right away.
Yeah. Sometimes I think like that's part of your magic though, in its own way.
Yeah, of course.
Like you know, but I do
the
believe
best things I've made in my life. I've made the best videos I've made in my life. The best jokes that I've written have been at like 3 a.m.
Right. The key takeaway about like, you know, how to quiet the mind and everything is just to realize that you do need some space from the things that you do.
Yeah.
Like you need not to be at the cellar all the time or just writing jokes all the time, right? I need not to be cooking all the time or being on stage all the time. It's about like you just need space to do nothing. And if nothing is meditating, then great. If nothing is like, I don't know, watching crappy TV, listening to a podcast or whatever, like affording yourself that grace. Like sometimes with people like us, like if we're not doing something, it's like we're underachieving right in that moment. But sometimes when you have some space from it and you leave some time to breathe,
yeah,
you're actually the more of the genius comes out in you.
You gotta, yeah. But even I never give myself time to just do nothing. I'd be so happy if I could just put do nothing on a calendar and then stick to it. Mm-hmm. The problem is that I'm like, oh, I got an hour later that I'm doing nothing, and let me just move all these things there.
I'm the same way. And then you're overbooked, and then you're screwed. And now look at us.
Yeah.
We look like two washed up.
We're doing good. But also, you don't need to hear from me, but you're doing great, and you should enjoy some parts of it. Do you enjoy doing the TV stuff?
Yes. I think I've enjoyed watching it more than doing it. I think watching it has been like the last, you know, it's the show's on Tuesday nights, and I've tried very hard. I've missed a few Tuesdays because I've had things to do, but to really be home on a Tuesday night to watch it, and I'm like, I watch it like it's like a riveting movie at the end. I can't even sit on my couch. Like I sit on the ottoman at the tip of it, like I'm almost gonna fall off. I know what's gonna happen, but I just I'm like allowing myself to like be in the moment because I felt like so like stressed out in a way when I was filming that now I get to see the best parts of it, and I am enjoying the shit out of it.
Editing is magic.
Yeah.
How many days were you actually shooting for?
It was 2 weeks, and they were like very long days. They were like 16-hour days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so if there's another one, it'll be another 2 weeks? Mm-hmm. Cool. And did you get better as it went along?
For sure.
What did you learn?
I think I felt more comfortable. I think I just was like, all you have to do is like, going on TV is a lot of different things, right? Because you want to like showcase your personality, like you're cooking, there's cameras, you're under this pressure, you're competing against someone else. A lot of chefs were telling me like, once you start cooking, like you'll be fine. And I think that once I started, to get the lay of the land, I knew what ingredients were there, not the ones that are part of the challenge, but like the pantry stuff.
Do you think that the food, like, was your actual competing better? Was your food better throughout the course of it?
I think I came out pretty strong, to be honest with you. And I think. But
you think you were just chilling harder as it went on?
No, not at all. I think that I was less like deer in the headlights when I looked at the ingredients. But it all.
But that plays.
Right.
That plays.
But it's funny because it's like you look at these ingredients. Sometimes you have a million ideas. Sometimes you look at these ingredients, you're like, I've never seen them before, or like I've heard of them but never worked with them before. And then other things you're like, why can't I think of anything? So it depends on the day and what it is.
Amazing. Last thing, what would you tell New Yorkers who are stressed out coming into the restaurant? Just have a drink, chill out?
I would tell New Yorkers that are stressed out that coming to the restaurant is let us help you. Let us return joy back into your life. Come in with an open heart and just sit down and kind of like, what was that movie? Beauty and the Beast? Mm-hmm. When he goes, be our guest, be our guest.
Yeah.
Like, put our magic to the test.
Right. Put your scorecard down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take your jacket off. Take your shoes off. I don't even give a fuck if you're sitting there shoeless.
Yeah.
And just enjoy. And on any great change that you don't like something, say something and we'll fix it. Yeah. It doesn't only apply to the trains. You know, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in the restaurant, you really don't like something, just say it. They're more than happy to take it away from you and then give you something that you'd like or cook something to your liking.
You got into this business because you wanted to make people happy.
Really. It's a great joy to like cook for people. When you're cooking, like you're not hungry. Like you want to feed somebody else, right? You're like looking at them like, are they enjoying it? And it's a beautiful thing to break bread and to cook and nourish people.
And that's why you're so good at this, because that's actually real. You weren't like, you didn't see a TikTok once and think, oh, I want that to be me.
The only TikTok I knew about was the watch on my forest. I'm a little older than that now.